Hello, I'm Harriet. Our house here looks pretty ordinary, but it was built to conserve energy. It's very well insulated, and here on the north side there aren't a lot of windows. This here is Marley, and over here is David.
Good morning.
This is our wood pile. Sometimes the winters in Troy are not sunny, so we burn about 1.5 quarts of wood in the heating season to supplement the passive solar heat. This is equivalent to about 250 gallons of oil. We use local wood, and David likes to cut and split the wood, so our heating is free, except we do have to feed him. We recently bought an energy-efficient refrigerator and also an energy-conserving washing machine and dishwasher, so that also helps with the energy bills. We do hope to improve our hot water system in the future. We do buy about 15 million BTUs of natural gas each year. That provides our hot water and also a little extra heat in the basement in the winter. This is equivalent on our heating bill to approximately $15 a month.
This is the south side of our house. It's a passive solar design, and here in Troy, New York, there's about 6,800 degree days, so it's a fairly cold climate. We get about 2/3 of the heat for the house through the windows in the south side of our house. Because the sun warms the south side of the house, the south side is less insulated than the other three sides. On the south side we have 6 inches of fiberglass, 1 inch of foam, and on the outside of that is a layer of Tyvek, and on the inside of that, of course, is a polyethylene vapor barrier. On the other three sides, the wall is 10 inches thick with 10 inches of, well, actually 9 inches of fiberglass and 1 inch of foam, again with the Tyvek on the outside and the polyethylene vapor barrier on the inside. I might point out that a dog adds a few hundred BTUs of heat living in the house, as do the people that live in it, as do the appliances that we actually use inside the house, provide some of the heat in the winter. The R value on the three sides, north, east, and west, is about 38 to 40, and in the roof it's about 52 to 54. The drywall inside the house actually provides some thermal mass to help reduce the temperature change in the house. And as well as the drywall, we have bricks around the wood stove that provide a nice, safe place for the wood stove and, again, provide thermal storage. Also, the dishes in the dining room actually get warm in the wintertime when the sun hits the little cabinet in there. There are about 250 square feet of windows, and that provides us about 60 million BTUs, which is the equivalent of about 500 gallons of heating oil. We have a concrete block wall in the basement and a fan at the top of the stairs that can blow extra heat from the top of the stairs down into the basement concrete blocks. That provides a little diurnal storage. It's a small amount of extra storage that we can use if we need it. We have several photovoltaic systems at this house. One of them is 20-some years old. The one that you see here is about 6 years old. I put this in myself when NYSERDA first started their program. I was allowed at the time to do the work myself. Inside is the inverter, and this is a grid-connected only system. That means that when the sun is out and the grid is on, we put power into the grid with the 1 kilowatts of photovoltaics that's here. Last summer we added on the roof an additional 3 kilowatts. That 3 kilowatts is a combination of grid-connected and off-grid, because we have 8 batteries. They look like car batteries, but they're deep cycle batteries, and they provide enough storage for us to run when the grid is going off. The grid has actually gone off in this location 6 times since the system was put on the other 3 sides. The DC from the photovoltaic and the roof comes into this combiner box and comes down to this DC side of the system. This part of the system has a maximum power point tracking in it, which increases the efficiency of the solar system. From here, the power comes down into this battery bank, and the battery bank provides several kilowatt hours of storage so that if the grid goes down, we can use the power from the batteries. If the sun is shining, the 10 kilowatt hours would keep us going forever. If the sun went out, then the 10 kilowatt hours would keep us going for about 3 or 4 days. DC side, we come to the inverter, and the inverter is really the smart part. The inverter right now is taking DC electricity and turning it into AC and feeding it back into the grid. It's also feeding some of our house. If the grid goes down, this inverter keeps up part of the house without any change. The really tricky part is that when the grid comes back on, the inverter is smart enough to get the voltage, phase, and frequency all correct so that this can reconnect to the grid after the grid comes back. Over here is the AC part, and the AC part keeps part of the house alive. It keeps the refrigerator, the water pump, the lights, radio, TV, and especially the telephone answering machine alive when the grid goes down. Our main panel over here has things on it like the electric stove and the other major appliances that we don't try to run when the grid goes down. This disconnect is a legal requirement so that we can have Niagara Now National Grid turn this off if they are worried about our system being up when the power goes down. The inverter actually takes care of that, and it's not a problem. The battery system for the 3 kilowatt system that's on the roof actually has a set of loads that never go off. When the grid goes down, the water pump is always on from the inverter, from the PV with the battery backup. The refrigerator is always on, the lights, radio, TV, and one of the things that I appreciate the most is the telephone answering machine stays on even if the power goes off. We also have a very small off-grid system, and that charges, this is a 25-year-old system, it charges a little bank of batteries in the basement that can run an inverter, and that inverter puts out 100 AC, and we have a transformer that puts out 220 volts if we needed it. We've actually used that in the past. And I think it was 1988, there was a 14-inch snowstorm October 4th, and that took down a lot of power. And we didn't have a grid connection for about a week. But with our photovoltaic system, it was enough to run our refrigerator for an hour a day to keep it cold. And we had lights for the evening, and we had radio and TV and that kind of thing from our very small off-grid photovoltaic system. And the meter on the left is the meter that shows how much electricity is going back into the grid directly. The meter on the right is saying how much energy is going into keeping alive our refrigerator, the water pump, lights, radio, TV, and answering machine. In 1 year, you can actually see that we've put out about 3 megawatt hours from our system in the year that it's been operating. To 2006, which is now. And the dark blue line at the bottom is how much we sold on a daily average basis to National Grid. You can see it started out in September, we were selling a lot. And then here is the wintertime, November and December. We actually bought more from the grid than we sold the grid. And then we started to always sell more to the grid than we used. The yellow line is how much is coming from the 3 kilowatt system on the roof. This light purple line is how much we're selling from the grid-connected 1 kW out back. And then the light blue line is how much we use that is directly from the PV to the house. And it's interesting that right in here, my wife had a very large computer project to do, and you can actually see it on the graph of average energy use over that time period.
How do you chart this? What inputs are you providing into your program to graph this?
This data is actually data that I manually took off of 5 different meters that I have in the house.
You do monthly reads?
Well, these are actually week or 2 week readings that I've got plotted here.